Egyptian civilization is considered as the oldest and most influential civilization in the history of mankind. It emerged around 3100 BCE along the fertile banks of the Nile River in northeast Africa. During the times of Egyptian civilization, only 4 civilizations were predominantly existing at that time, known as Indus Valley Civilization, Mesopotamia Civilization, and Huang Ho Valley Civilization. Egyptian civilization was known for its art, culture, religion, and governance, and kings of Egypt known as pharaohs who were considered gods on earth and were ordered to build various monumental structures like the Great Pyramids of Giza, Temple of Karnak, and Luxor. They developed an early writing system known as hieroglyphics. The Egyptian civilization went through several periods, out of which there were 3 kingdoms known as Old, Middle, and New Kingdom. The Kingdom of Egypt had 31 dynasties. During 6000 BCE, the people of the world initiated to settle in Egypt until 2 kingdoms emerged known as Lower Egypt, which covers the Nile River Delta up to the Mediterranean Sea in the north, and Upper Egypt, which covers the Nile Valley in the south. Around 3100 BCE, King Menes and the historians began the history of Egypt by dividing it into 2 periods, and they used to keep a record of things like royal decrees and taxes that the people paid in the form of grains. Old Kingdom is sometimes called the Age of Pyramids, as pyramids were built during these years. Pharaohs mostly associated themselves with the sun god Ra, tradition that would remain for much of Egypt's history. The pharaohs lost their power during the first intermediate period as the drought hit the land of Egypt, and local leaders took control of their own communities and stopped passing along grain to the central government. The chaotic situation was intensified by Bedouin invasions and accompanied by famine and disease. Around 1938 BCE, Mentuhotep II reunited the Egyptian civilization and began a new era known for producing some of Egypt's greatest pieces of art, and during this period the Egypt once again flourished as it had been during the Old Kingdom. For the first time, Egyptians wrote stories for entertainment, and pharaohs started the construction of Karnak Temple in the modern city of Luxor. The second intermediate period divided Egypt into several spheres of influence, and weak pharaohs lost control, and invaders from Western Asia called Hyksos ruled in the north, people from Kush kingdom south of Egypt, and took control in Upper Egypt. After this period came the new period, in which the first king of the 18th dynasty, Egypt, was once again reunited, and as Egyptians took back control they crowned first female pharaoh Hatshepsut ruled for 21 years. Akhenaten tried to start a new religion with his son, the boy king Tutankhamun, reigned for 10 years. Ramses II built more monuments to himself than any other pharaoh, and can even be seen in the story of Moses in the Torah. The third intermediate period came, and this was the time of droughts, famine, and foreign invasions on the land of Egypt. Foreigners of Libya and Nubia grabbed control for themselves and set a lasting impact. In 671 BCE, the Assyrian ruler Esarhaddon drove Kushite king Taharqa out of Memphis and destroyed the city. He then appointed own rulers out of local governors and officials loyal to Assyrian. In 525 BCE, Persians conquered Egypt under the rule of Cambyses, king of Persia. Alexander the Great conquered Egypt under the Macedonian Empire, defeated the Persian armies and conquered Egypt. After Alexander's death, Egypt was ruled by a line of Macedonian rulers. Cleopatra VII lost a war to the Roman ruler Octavian. Egypt would be under Roman rule for the next 600 years, and after the split of the Roman Empire, as gradually the empire weakened, it became part of the Islamic Caliphate and later was colonized by the British government. The polity of Egyptian civilization was that it had an Egyptian.
The pharaoh consists of the absolute power partly because most of the rulers carried out their rules justly, but primarily because of theocracy. The people believed pharaohs were descended from gods and were gods themselves, and they had absolute power over land, armies, and trade of Egypt. The ancient Egyptian societies contained pharaohs, then under them were viziers or priests who were powerful intellectual leaders of the Egyptian empire, and under their role was to preserve the culture of Egypt and cared for temples. Scribes formed a special class of literate professionals. They performed important bureaucratic duties such as keeping of record, tax accounting, and management of public work. Craftsmen, artists, peasants, and slaves made the rest of classes in the Egyptian empire.